Okay, so today we're diving into something a lot of you have been asking about, and it's this whole idea of gold IRAs and specifically gold IRA rollovers. It's a topic that can seem, a little bit complex at first glance, but we're going to break it down and help you figure out if it's right for your retirement planning.
Yeah, for sure. When we're talking about a Gold IRA rollover, what we're really talking about is taking money that you've already got saved up in your retirement accounts, like a 401k or a traditional IRA, and moving it into a special type of IRA that lets you hold physical gold as an investment.
So it's like within the structure of your retirement account, but with actual tangible gold.
Exactly. And the idea is to do this without losing any of those tax advantages that come with traditional retirement accounts.
So our goal today is to kind of pull out the most important stuff from all the research we've done and explain it in a way that makes sense. We're looking at an article that walks us through the whole process, the pros and cons, and the key things you need to think about. So let's start with why you might even consider this.
All right, so the first big reason that people think about gold IRAs is that gold has historically been seen as a way to protect yourself against inflation.
Oh, so like when the value of the dollar goes down, gold tends to hold its value better.
Exactly. It can help you maintain your purchasing power over time, even when things are a little bit shaky in the economy.
So it's a hedge against inflation, almost like an insurance policy for your savings.
Right. And then another key thing is diversification. You've probably heard the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, with a gold IRA, you're spreading your investments across different types of assets. Instead of just having stocks and bonds, which are paper assets, you're adding physical gold, which can sometimes behave differently in the markets.
So it's a way to potentially reduce risk by having like a backup in case one type of investment isn't doing so well.
Exactly. Gold has been considered valuable for centuries, so it can be a good addition to a well-rounded portfolio.
Right, it has that staying power. Now, when we talk about IRAs, we got to talk about taxes. Does a gold IRA have the same tax advantages as a traditional IRA?
Yeah, it does. Contributions to a gold IRA can be tax deferred, just like with a traditional IRA. So you don't have to pay taxes on any gains until you withdraw the money in retirement. And then there's also something called a Roth Gold IRA, which, similar to a Roth IRA, could potentially let you withdraw money tax-free in retirement.
So you're potentially shielding some of your savings from taxes while you're working, and then maybe even getting tax-free withdrawals when you're retired. It seems like a pretty good deal tax-wise.
Yeah. The other thing the article talks about is the idea of gold being a safe haven asset, particularly during times of economic uncertainty. When the stock market gets jittery or there are big geopolitical events happening.
So when things get kind of crazy in the world, people turn to gold because they see it as more stable.
Yeah, that's the thinking. The idea is that gold tends to hold its value better than stocks and bonds when things are unpredictable. And that can offer some protection for your retirement savings if the markets take a tumble.
So you have that peace of mind knowing that at least part of your retirement is in something that's a bit more solid.
Right, exactly.
All right, so these are some pretty compelling reasons why someone might consider a gold IRA. But how do you actually go about setting one up? What's that process look like?
The first thing you've got to do is gather all your information about your existing retirement accounts. Things like your account numbers, balances, what kind of assets you're holding. It's good to have a clear picture of where you're starting from.
So like taking inventory of your current retirement savings.
Exactly. And then the next big step is choosing a Gold IRA company and a custodian. Now, these are sometimes two different entities, but the Gold IRA company will usually help you with both. They basically walk you through the whole thing, help you pick out the gold you want to invest in, and they work with the custodian, who's the one who actually holds your physical gold.
Okay, so the gold IRA company is kind of like your guide, and the custodian is like the vault keeper, making sure everything's safe and sound.
Exactly. And, it's really important to pick a reputable Gold IRA company. The article highlights three top-rated companies for 2025: Augusta Precious Metals, Goldco, and American Hartford Gold. They each have different strengths. For example, Augusta has this perfect record with the Better Business Bureau and the Business Consumer Alliance, which suggests they really prioritize customer satisfaction and doing things by the book. That might be especially reassuring if you're new to this.
Yeah, definitely. And what about the other two companies?
Well, Goldco is known for having a really high percentage of happy customers, so that speaks to their track record. And then American Hartford Gold, they're highlighted as being particularly good for people who are just getting started with Gold IRAs.
So there's a variety of options, each with its own kind of specialty.
Exactly. And the article mentions that there's one company the author seems to really think is the leader in the industry, but they don't actually name them in the general overview. So it's kind of like a hidden gem you might discover if you dig a little deeper into the reviews. But the overall point is it's crucial to do your research and choose a company that you feel confident and comfortable with.
Absolutely. Don't just jump into something without doing your due diligence. All right, so you've got your company, you've got your custodian. What's next?
Well, now you got to pick out the gold you want to invest in. And here's the thing. The IRS has very specific rules about what kind of gold you can hold in a gold IRA.
Oh, so it's not just any gold.
Nope. It has to be in the form of what's called bullion, which is basically gold bars or coins, and it has to have a minimum purity level of 99.5%. So it's really high quality stuff.
Interesting. So I guess that old gold necklace I have lying around wouldn't count.
Probably not. Some popular choices for gold IRAs are American Gold Eagles, Canadian Gold Maple Leafs, or gold bars that are produced by approved refiners.
You really want to make sure whatever gold you choose is IRS approved, because if it's not, you could end up with some hefty tax penalties.
Makes sense. It's important to stay on the right side of the IRS.
Definitely. Your Gold IRA company should be able to give you a list of all the IRS-approved options and help you make the right choice.
So let's say you've picked out your gold. What happens next? Then it's time to initiate the actual rollover process. You'll need to contact your current retirement account provider and let them know that you want to do a rollover into your new Gold IRA. And again, this is where your Gold IRA company comes in handy because they'll help you with all the paperwork. You'll probably need to fill out a transfer request form, and then the money will be moved directly from your old account to your new Gold IRA.
So you don't usually get the money sent directly to you. It goes straight to the custodian to buy the gold.
Right. It's important to note that each 401k plan can have slightly different rules for handling rollovers, but a good Gold IRA company will be familiar with all that and help you navigate it.
So once the gold is in your IRA, is that it? Do you just kind of sit back and watch the gold prices?
It's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's important to keep an eye on your gold assets and see how they're performing, stay informed about market trends and stuff like that. It's your retirement after all.
Yeah, it's not like burying gold in your backyard and hoping for the best.
Exactly. The article also suggests that it might be a good idea to diversify within your Gold IRA by adding other precious metals, things like silver, platinum, or palladium. They also have to meet specific IRS purity requirements, but having a mix of precious metals can potentially make your portfolio even more stable.
So it's all about spreading the risk around, even within the precious metals part of your portfolio.
Right. And then, of course, it's always a good idea to review your overall investment strategy periodically. Make sure it's still lining up with your long-term financial goals.
Makes sense. Now, when we compare a gold IRA to a traditional IRA, what are the big differences?
Well, one major difference is the type of assets you're holding. Like we talked about before, traditional IRAs mostly hold stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, which can be pretty volatile, right?
Mm-hmm.
A gold IRA, on the other hand, holds physical gold, which can provide more stability, especially during times of economic uncertainty.
Right, so the gold IRA has that tangible asset that people see as a safe haven. But what about risk? Are gold IRAs risk-free?
Not exactly. While gold is often seen as a safe haven, its price can fluctuate too, depending on various economic and political factors. It's not like it's immune to market forces. So it can be a good way to balance out the volatility of stocks, but it's still important to have a diversified approach.
So there's always going to be some level of risk no matter what you invest in.
Exactly. You have to find what feels right for you and your risk tolerance.
And speaking of things to consider, what about costs? The article mentions that gold IRAs tend to have higher fees than traditional IRAs. Why is that?
Well, think about it. Gold IRAs involve holding physical gold, right? So you need a secure place to store it, and that storage costs money. Plus, you need to insure that gold, which adds to the fees. These storage facilities have to meet certain IRS requirements, so it's not just any old safe deposit box. And then there might be transaction fees when you buy or sell the gold within your IRA. But a lot of investors feel like those extra costs are worth it for the peace of mind and the potential benefits of having gold in their portfolio.
Right, so you're paying for that extra security and the tangible nature of the asset.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's get into some of the nitty-gritty details. Who can actually do a gold IRA rollover? Is it limited to certain types of retirement accounts?
The good news is most retirement accounts are eligible. So 401k, traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, SEP IRAs, those can all be rolled over into a Gold IRA. However, it's always a good idea to double check with your current provider and the IRS to make sure there aren't any specific rules that apply to your situation.
And a good Gold IRA company should be able to help you with that, right?
Absolutely. They should be experts on the rules and regulations.
And of course, there's the 60-day rule. If you ever take possession of the money during a rollover, you only have 60 days to put it into the new Gold IRA. Otherwise, you could face penalties.
Right. That's really important to remember.
Yep.
So make sure everything is lined up before you initiate that rollover.
Absolutely. Now, earlier we talked about the purity requirements for gold. Are there other rules about the specific types of gold you can hold?
Yeah. As we said before, it has to be IRS-approved gold bullion or coins, and it needs to meet that minimum purity level of 99.5%. They're really strict about that.
So no random gold nuggets you found while panning for gold.
Huh. No, I don't think so.
And just to recap, the tax advantages are similar to traditional IRAs, right? Tax-deferred growth, with the potential for tax-free withdrawals if you go with the Roth option. Now, let's talk about avoiding those tax penalties. What are the big things people need to watch out for when they're doing a Gold IRA rollover?
Well, first of all, make sure you complete the rollover within that 60-day window we talked about. Absolutely crucial. And second, make sure the gold you're investing in is actually IRS approved. Third, work with a reputable Gold IRA company and a qualified custodian who really knows the IRS rules inside and out. They'll help you stay compliant. And finally, keep detailed records of the whole process, every transaction, everything.
Great tips. It's all about being organized and informed.
Exactly. You don't want any surprises from the IRS.
Now, the article also addresses some frequently asked questions, which I think are really helpful for anyone who's thinking about doing this. Let's talk about a couple of those. One thing that comes up is the difference between a Gold IRA transfer and a rollover. What's the distinction there?
So a transfer is when the funds are moved directly from one custodian to another, without you, the account holder, ever actually touching the money. This is usually the safest way to go because it minimizes the risk of accidentally triggering taxes or missing that 60-day deadline. A rollover, on the other hand, is when you actually receive the funds from your old account and then you have to deposit them into the new Gold IRA within 60 days.
So with the transfer, the money never really leaves the safe hands of the custodians.
Right. Both options get you to the same end goal. But a direct transfer is generally considered to be smoother and less risky.
Got it. So if you have the option of doing a direct transfer, that's probably the way to go. Another question that people have is whether you can hold other precious metals in a Gold IRA besides just gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Silver, platinum, and palladium are all allowed. But just like with gold, they have to meet specific purity standards. Silver has to be at least 99.9% pure, and platinum and palladium need to be at least 99.95% pure.
So there's some flexibility to create a diverse portfolio of precious metals within your Gold IRA.
Exactly. It's not just a one-trick pony.
Now, for someone who's just starting to look into this, how do they even begin to compare and choose a good Gold IRA company? There are a lot of companies out there, so how do you know who to trust?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's super important to do your research. The article suggests looking at a few key things. First, the company's reputation. Check out reviews, see if there are any complaints against them. Second, their experience. You want a company that's been around for a while that has a track record of successfully working with both retirement funds and precious metals. Third, look at their fees. Are they transparent? Do they seem reasonable? And finally, consider their customer service. Are they responsive? Do they seem knowledgeable and helpful?
Those are all really good points. It sounds like you're looking for experience, transparency, and good communication.
Exactly. It's a big decision, so you want to make sure you're comfortable with the company you're working with.
Absolutely. Now, last but not least, are there any limits on contributions or rollovers with Gold IRAs?
Yeah, just like with any IRA, there are annual contribution limits. For 2025, the limit is $7,000 if you're under 50 and $8,000 if you're 50 or older. And those limits apply to all your IRAs combined, not just your Gold IRA. As for rollovers, there isn't a limit on how many you can do in a year, but as we've said before, each one needs to be completed within 60 days to avoid penalties.
Okay, so there's definitely some planning involved to make sure you're staying within the rules. So to sum all this up, a Gold IRA rollover can be a way to potentially protect your retirement savings from inflation, diversify your investments, and add some stability to your portfolio. But it's really important to understand the process, know the fees involved, and make sure you're following all the IRS regulations.
Yeah, and finding a trustworthy Gold IRA company and custodian is super important. They can make the whole process a lot smoother and less stressful.
Definitely. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, but here's something for you to think about as you continue your research. Gold has always been seen as a valuable asset, even going back centuries. In a world that's becoming increasingly digital, how might adding a tangible asset like gold to your portfolio affect your long-term financial security and give you peace of mind? What other questions do you have about gold IRAs? We encourage you to keep exploring and see if this strategy is the right fit for you. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.